Do you think funding is over-glamorized? Number one. Number two, again for the purpose of our viewers, a lot of them might be in that zone of trying to raise funding. The first few rounds of funding that you did, what were the core lessons that you learned that you'd like to dispense to the audience?
I think one, it is glamorized because nobody. This is a really interesting conversation because even when we raised capital in our last round, and I was speaking to a journalist at a leading publication, the first thing that she asked me was, "What's the amount?" Because then it qualifies on whether it's going to be featured offline in print or whether it's going to go online. And if the amount is below a certain value, then it's not going to be featured anywhere. Then there is a list that comes out at the end of the week and you may be a part of that list, but that's at the call of the editor of the magazine or the publication. That defines the mindset of how the world is working, right? You will become famous if you are raising more capital, and often people who are wired differently, who are entrepreneurs, they do want fame as a result of what they've done, right? And it's something that I think is a fundamental human desire. You do want to be known for what you're building and you want to be recognized. And then when you're having such conversations, then you may start leaning towards a place where you're like, okay, if this is what it requires, if this is how I'm going to get validated, then why not take this route and raise excess capital along the way? But I think it also changes over a period of time and the market defines it. Now is not the time where it's being hyper gloated that you're raising so much capital. Now we're talking about EBITDA in conversations, which never happened in the last couple of years. So I think it changes, but the best kind of people are the people who are talking about the same metric, whether it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, or they're talking about the same metric right now. And I think that is truly a differentiating trait. When the highs and lows of the market are not defining what you are saying, how you are saying, what your intent to raise capital is, because
so headwinds and tailwinds don't determine the narrative.
You're set towards an end outcome, and capital is an input towards that outcome. It is not the outcome, but people start perceiving it as an outcome because then it brings with itself validation that you've built something, you become famous, you become public, you become respected. And if that's the only reason why you started, maybe you have to look back and even, contemplate whether you're fit to be an entrepreneur or not. Because there are so many other ways of becoming famous today that this should not be the medium that you take to drive that.
What about you?
I spoke a bit about, what inspired me and the kind of organizations I'm inspired by. So the whole idea behind fundraising was never something that even really interested me. We did get bit by the FOMO bug. It did happen because in the early years we just lost a little bit sight over why we started, and it sort of just became कि fundraise तो करना ही होता है, मतलब fundraise के बिना भी होता है तरीका, because the stories that are told are usually of how the fundraise happened, and then therefore this this company got set up and it was beautiful. But if you look at some of the greatest organizations in the world that we highly respect today, a lot of them, there's no conversation of how a fundraise happened. It's just those stories are not told. Now they're starting to be told, but weren't told so much. So we did get bit by the FOMO bug, no doubt. But I think soon after we recovered and we were like, hey, what the hell are we doing? Hold on one sec, what's happening here? And the question is, you have to achieve a goal in the organization. To achieve every stage of growth, you have to achieve a goal. And to achieve that goal, you need an input. A lot of the times, the way to go about it is, you make this work, you add it brick by brick. And sometimes, you need capital infusion to speed some things up. Great, but that's all that fundraising is all about. That's it for me, in my head, that's it. There is no two ways about it.
So it's an enhancer. It's a means to an end. Unfortunately, a lot of people think it's the end. But it's actually a means to the end.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.